Welcome, my dear students. Today we'll resume our discussion of Chapter 3, the second of the three spirits, Part 2. The objectives of this lesson are to recall past events by stating previous events related to certain objects, skim and scan for specific information to relate the suitable events to the questions given, to realize the role of the second spirit in changing Scrooge's character, explain the significance of the two figures, crime and need. Recognize different themes and values presented in this part. In Chapter 3, Part 1, we've learned that the second spirit, the spirit of Christmas present, visited Scrooge to help him in developing his character. We've also learned the role of the torch, which the spirit held that made poor people kinder, to stop fighting or arguing in order to enjoy Christmas. Moreover, the torch also gives a special taste to people's dinner during Christmas. Because the second spirit is concerned with the happiness of poor people, it showed him the shadow of the Cratchit's family and how they celebrated Christmas. We knew how they were happy during Christmas, although they were poor. They were grateful for the little things they had. Also, we learned for the first time Scrooge was very concerned about Tiny Tim and wanted to know whether he was going to live. Sadly, the spirit informed him that Tiny Tim would die before next Christmas because of poverty and lack of medical care or any medical treatment. Part 1 ends at page 33 with the shocking words of the spirit repeating Scrooge's very own words. What does that matter? There are too many people in the world, so it's a good thing if some of them die. At this moment, Scrooge regretted his selfishness and cruelty towards others. This strange behavior, by caring about other people, marks a change in his character. Part 2 begins with the same shadow, on page 33, but here we know more about Bob and his wife's characters. The quotation when Bob said, "Let's drink to Mr. Scrooge, whose money has paid for this meal." This shows a side of Bob's character. How Bob was grateful although Scrooge was unkind to him and didn't pay him enough. Whereas his wife, Mrs. Cratchit, replied angrily and with disagreement, "His money? What can we buy with his 15 shillings a week? Why should we drink to the health of a hateful, hard, unfeeling, mean old man like Scrooge?" This shows not only the opinion of Mrs. Cratchit about Scrooge, but it also shows people's opinion towards him. They didn't like him. Next, the second spirit showed Scrooge how people in different places with different life conditions were trying to enjoy themselves at Christmas. The spirit showed him how an old man and a woman living in a stone house were enjoying their time at Christmas by singing Christmas carols with their children and grandchildren, all as a family. Then the spirit took Scrooge and flew far over the land and over the sea, taking him to a lighthouse built on a lonely rock, several miles away from land, where two men lived far away from their families in a cold and unfriendly place, but still they shook hands together, wished each other a Merry Christmas, and sang a carol together to celebrate. On page 35, to Scrooge's great surprise, the second spirit shows him the shadow of his nephew Fred and his very pretty wife welcoming their friends at Christmas, at their house playing games and laughing. On page 36, Scrooge hears his nephew repeating his own bad words about Christmas. He said that Christmas was humbug, ha ha ha. Here comes Fred's opinion about his Uncle Scrooge and how Fred feels about him. He also says, "He's a strange old man," said Scrooge's nephew, "but I'm sorry for him. His money is no use to him, you see. He isn't at all happy or comfortable, although he's rich. It's sad to think of him sitting alone in his cold room, and so I'm going to invite him every Christmas. He can be cross and miserable if he likes, but I'll go on inviting him, and one day perhaps he'll think better of Christmas." These words reflect how sorry Fred felt towards his uncle. He felt pity for him as he believes that his uncle is miserable and lonely, although he's rich. That's why Fred would never give up inviting him every Christmas until perhaps one day he thinks better of Christmas. Of course, Scrooge heard Fred's opinion about him, and then recognized them singing a song that his little sister, who is Fred's mother, used to sing. He remembered sadly what the Spirit showed him earlier about his sister and how kind she was to him. For the first time, Scrooge felt excited while watching them playing guessing games and wanted to stay a little longer. However, before leaving, the second spirit shows Scrooge the last shocking shadow. We read about it at the bottom of pages 37 and 38. These two figures, crime and need, stand for are symbols of the two main problems of mankind. Need leads to crime. Rich people should help poor people, or this would lead to hatred which ends up with crime. And when Scrooge asked if anyone could help them, the second time the Spirit repeats or uses Scrooge's own words to make him regret his selfishness and cruel behavior. Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses? These were the shocking words that Scrooge used before about poor people, and now he regrets it. Thank you, my dear students, and God bless you all.